Hey, we started. This is us starting. Hello, friends. Welcome to IPN's Movie Night, the film club podcast where we share our love for movies, good or bad. I am Alexander Pacillas, the co-host of this podcast and creative director of In Pursuit of Nothing.
I'm Carter Thomas. I'm the other co-host. You know what I do.
Do they?
Yeah, I said it in
Don't
the
assume
last
things,
one.
Carter.
Oh, who's that voice? Whoa,
Oh,
there's another
what?
voice here.
Oh,
Whoa, who's that?
that's third strange
Oh,
person.
that sounds like our guest today.
Yeah,
Uh, Aubrie Nestor. She is our
Let
uh.
her explain.
I know. I love how
Okay,
he
okay.
just took that
I was
over
gonna
for me. I
introduce
kind of like it though. No,
introduce.
please do. I'm liking
Okay,
this.
yes,
Who am
you are
I?
an actress.
Thank you.
You're a writer. You're a content creator. You run our social medias. Aubrie Nestor, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great. This is awesome. I'm
Yeah,
glad we finally got to have Aubrie on. I've like from the very beginning. I was like, Aubrie needs to be on this
Yeah, I love it.
podcast.
I haven't listened to a single episode yet
Well, it's not
because
out
I'm a good
technically,
person.
so you're
But I'll
fine.
get around to it.
If it's not out yet.
she brought
I
the.
mean, when we post this episode, you will have listened to multiple episodes, but at the
You
moment of this
better have
recording,
listened to multiple episodes.
yeah.
So Aubrey,
Probably a
this
bad idea to start out with me.
this is the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah.
What movie did you bring? Obviously, from the title of this, people already know. But what is
That's
Well,
it?
true.
well,
Oh,
gentlemen.
it's true.
Today I brought in Stephen King and Mr. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Dun,
Dun dun dun.
Bum,
Released
bum, bum.
1980.
That's how it goes in the movie.
Magical year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Aubrey, please, just for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, you want to do like a little bit of synopsis, and then a little bit of your history of like why you chose this movie. What does it mean to you? You know, all that stuff. Why did you want us to watch this movie that everyone has watched except for me?
Sure. Well, good luck understanding this film with my outline of plot points, but the story takes place in the Outlook Hotel in the Rocky Mountains, and the family of Jack, Wendy, and Danny Torrance decide to take what, like 6 months
6 months.
Five.
The
caretaking
winter season.
this. Well, it's the dates were October 30th to May 1st. So
Yes.
math.
God, fuck that.
Yeah, it's a really long
Oh
Sorry.
time.
no, he was 5 months
So
sober.
this poor family has decided to take some work caretaking for this hotel, and we found out the hotel's a little bit of fun history, like it's built on a Native American burial ground.
Yes,
It's
it was.
It's mentioned one
Yes,
time
it
briefly in the
was.
movie and never mentioned again.
Ah, yeah.
Let's see what else. Mr. Jack Torrance is, warned that previous caretaker might have gone a little mad with cabin fever and committed familicide along with suicide, and so it's got some nasty history. And if he's comfortable with that, he can have the job. Awesome.
If he's
Dude
comfortable
doesn't
with
care at all. He's like, yeah, my wife loves ghost stories.
Which,
Awesome.
might I just add really quick, is never mentioned throughout the movie.
Which leads me
Her
to
love for
believe
ghost
that
stories.
Her love for ghost
Yeah,
stories
never
and
mentioned
films.
again.
Yeah. Oh, she loves it. Really? Could have never never knew that. Sorry.
Well, I think he was just saying that
Was
to,
he?
to sell it. I think he was just saying that. I don't think
You
I don't
think,
think
yeah,
he
you
was
think he was
being
talking out of his
sincere.
ass? Yeah.
I mean, I think right from the
Maybe.
get
It's like,
go,
give me the job. This is why it's okay.
like immediately from the get go, Jack Torrance does not like Wendy at all. I think
yeah,
yes,
it's very clear.
very clear. Like before they're even at the hotel, you know.
Yeah.
He hates this
Sorry.
woman.
Yes, that is true. Before we get into that, Aubrey, please
Okay.
explain why you chose this movie and your history with it.
Okay, well, I chose The Shining because it's definitely in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. And I've probably watched it once every October for the past roughly 25 years. So I've started watching this way young. I'm 27
October.
years old, by the way. So my parents had no filters or censors for the entertainment I consumed. So I started watching stuff like this way early, and that's why I'm a little twisted
Mm.
today. I've always been a big Jack Nicholson fan.
Mhm.
Who isn't?
Any movie
Right.
in the 80s, I'm probably gonna be down with it. So that helps too. I won't say that I'm a fan of Stanley because I'm really not. I've probably seen maybe 3 of his other films and didn't really care for them
Which
at
ones?
You
all.
know what? Yeah, I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah, it's just not necessarily my style, but for some reason, The Shining always stuck with me. I've always been disturbed
Hmm.
by the story and elements of music and the use of space in the film, and both Jack and Danny Lloyd's performances. Every time I watch it, I always get goosebumps.
Hmm.
Every time I'm creeped the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe just like an overall general consensus what you felt about it. Carter, what did you feel? How did you feel about The Shining?
Well,
You've
this
seen it
is
before, right?
yeah, I've
Okay.
seen it. Don't remember the last time I watched it, but I love the atmosphere that's uh built at the Outlook Hotel.
Hmm.
I think that um like, and I like Stanley Kubrick. I don't think he's God's gift to film, but I think he was very good. Obviously a very creative mind. Fucking
Hmm.
asshole,
Hmm.
which,
Just a
we're going
little
to talk
bit.
about later, but I like the movie. I think um I don't think it's like I don't think it's scary as much more as ominous and
And like
creepy.
tense and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah, one hundred
cuz
percent.
and like Aubrey you said, like the performances are just incredible from
Hmm.
I think everyone does their I think everyone's great. I don't have a single complaint
Yeah,
about like acting wise
yeah,
about the
definitely.
movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I have seen bits and pieces of the movie. I just never watched it as a whole, like sitting down. And obviously, it's iconic, so like you will run into some sort of pop culture references with it. So I had that in mind going in. Like when I finally sat down and watched it, I'm like, wait, this movie's like already 2 hours, and there's supposed to be a part that happens in it. But from sitting down watching it, I had the same reaction that I have with almost all of Stanley Kubrick's films, and it's like the man can fucking frame a shot. Like holy shit, his camera work, and that's the conflicting part about it. Is that I'm like I love every shot he makes. Everything is great. It's intentional. It's all love it, love it. His story writing though is much to be desired, and that is what I felt about this movie. Because if you talk about like the history with him in this movie and Stephen King, I tend to be more on Stephen King's side about his point of view of the movie.
Mhm.
Which already I know you did a lot of trivia, or you did a lot of trivia
A little
research.
bit of research,
So
yeah.
like, please, what is Stephen King's like point of view of this of The Shining?
Well, the thing that was I found interesting is when Kubrick first got his hands on it, and they are writing up their deals and such. That King seemed to be pretty on board with
Hmm.
Kubrick taking his liberties with the story.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, when he kind of saw the finished product, he had a different mindset and thought he had kind of slaughtered his story.
Yeah.
And which I have a hard time holding an opinion on that but once doing the research, I know I must absolutely read this book. I
Yeah.
haven't read The
Yeah.
Shining,
Oh,
but
okay.
haven't wanted to more than now. Like I'm obsessed. After all
Yeah.
this research, I have all these points that I want to be able to make
Mhm.
that I can't without reading King's original
Hmm.
story. Um, because I don't know whose side to kind of
Yeah.
take.
You can also watch the 1990s Shining
I
miniseries.
tried once, didn't make it
Didn't
because
make
I
it.
was dying of boredom.
I enjoyed it. I thought it well mainly the guy playing Jack. Although
Who plays him?
I don't know
I
his
don't
name.
remember.
Because
I don't
I
remember the
Because I
cast at
thought that
all.
was pretty good, and obviously it was more faithful to the source material. Because
Well,
Stephen
yeah,
King wrote
King was
the
actually
teleplay
involved with, yeah,
for it.
exactly.
And funny, because when he was about to make that, he had to like get the rights to his own story
yeah,
back from
yeah,
Yeah,
Kubrick,
yeah.
and Kubrick made a deal with him saying like, "Well, then you have to stop shitting on my movie,"
yeah. I remember seeing that. It's like you have to stop talking negatively, or yeah, negatively about the movie.
which just
Yeah.
shows how insecure Stanley Kubrick
I
is.
know.
Cause it's like,
Totally
dude,
agree.
everyone thinks you're a fucking genius. Like,
Calm down.
let Stevie like tell his version of the story. When
Yeah.
like I understand like when everything I was reading, I completely understand why Steven feels the way he feels, but I and like as someone as like and at Stephen King's status at the time as well, also like in the literary world, very huge. Like he was the
Hmm.
master of his genre at the time.
Hmm.
And then I don't know how he felt about Carrie. Like, so he had had a few adaptations at this point. I don't know how he felt about any of them.
Right.
But I think like as an author, and especially because this story was really personal, because it has like themes of
Well,
fighting alcoholism, which
and his actual father too. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah.
so this is just really close to his heart. So I totally understand why he feels the way he did,
Hmm.
but I also feel like
Yeah.
Stanley's an artist too. So
Yeah. And that's what I like. So I mean, just to in a way, not trying to compare it, at least just for a brief moment, not comparing it to what Stephen King's novel was,
mhm.
but like the movie itself, and this is something that I feel like Stanley Kubrick does, is that he makes a very atmospheric movie, and I feel like this type of movie works best with that because the hotel itself needs to be a character. I mean, Dick talks about it with Danny, saying like that the hotel also has like the Shining essentially, and
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
does a great job with the camera work and just the atmospheric feel of making that hotel feel like it is watching them, it is following them, and that it is alive.
Mhm.
And because that's what Stanley Kubrick does well, it works well in this movie.
Yeah.
There was never a time where I was like, "Oh yeah, like I everything about this makes me feel uncomfortable," and that I think that's what adds to a little bit to the horror element because I didn't feel like the movie was scary. Everyone says like, even Stephen King himself, he says like, I don't know why people think The Shining is scary.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
not.
it's
It's
that
not scary.
scary either.
Like the only part that actually did like kind of like I know something like really did his job with scares if I'm like alone at night and I'm just like and that image just pops up in my head. I mean, the room 237 like with the woman, like
Yeah.
that freaks me out.
The
Like
rotting hag.
yes, it
Like
freaked me out. It wasn't scary while watching it, but it's just like it's one of those scenes just sticks with you. And I was like, okay, you did your job with
that
that.
scene is what really tripped me up as a kid. I
Yeah.
had no idea what was happening. That image scared the shit out of me.
Hmm.
Over like blood and the like
The
dead
rotting,
Grady girls.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
that stuff hardly got to me. It was the
Yeah.
freaking like woman in the bathtub that always freaked me out so
Yeah,
Well, because
yeah.
hardcore.
she moved as
Oh,
a
like
corpse.
no, yeah, like when she's in the tub and then she's actually like
Then she's
getting up.
slowly
I
like
was like,
coming
you.
after
I was like,
Jack
I
with her
thought that was a
arms
dummy.
out, all naked and
Yeah.
disgusting.
Like you sold it. Holy shit!
It was
Like that was
good.
great.
It was good.
But it does do what I feel like a lot of horror movies don't do, and they, as in like they use the horror elements as as the overall feeling, like the ambiance of it, which is what has anyone seen? It Follows.
No,
That
I've
is
heard it's
that
so
is a
good though.
movie. It is incredible. That is a movie where it's like it's not necessarily scary. It's just the overall dread and feeling lingers with you, and that's what this movie did.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing
Which,
about The Shining is that at no point do you feel comfortable
mm,
or safe. Like I
Yes,
never really feel like there's a good break in there where you can kind of breathe again. Like there's
yeah,
always just
oh yeah,
something off.
that's why I love its use. I want to know your opinion on this. Its use
right.
of fades, how it
Uh,
fades is like the primary transition.
Hmm.
I
I
really liked it.
yeah, I wrote. I think I even wrote something. I think I said like cross dissolves for the win or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that oh, see, this is another thing. It's gonna dive into this aspect too. But the fades do a really good job. The reason why I think they worked is because they um, kind of confuse you as to where you are and what time it is, which is
Hmm.
in
Yes.
general what the editing did.
I never know what time it is
So
in
what
that damn movie.
yeah, you never really know. And then once like they're deep into because it goes from the beginning to a month later.
Yeah, immediately.
After that, it goes from oh
Like
next day is Tuesday,
Hmm.
then it's
And then it's 4
Saturday. No, it's
p.m.
Thursday, then Saturday, then Wednesday, and I know was intentional with trying to say like I don't know what time,
Hmm.
what day of the week it is. I don't know if this is linear, if this is just we're just skimping
Exactly.
around, or like if what's happening. And again, very well crafted editing in that aspect
Yeah.
because it makes you feel disoriented, and I think that's what the cross dissolves help.
Yes,
Hmm.
I agree. That's why I really liked them.
So it's
Like he did it.
yeah.
He made a shit ton of fades work.
Yeah,
You
and
gotta give him that.
I
no,
also don't
I
know if I've
do.
ever seen more
Gotta give
slow
it.
zooms and
Yeah.
pushes
I
in
just
my
I
life.
always hate it when people who are so talented and so like like progressive with their art are just fucking dickheads. I
Yeah.
it annoy Morrissey. Wow, what a singer. Wow, what a fucking racist piece of shit. What a fucking terrible person.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christ.
But
So
heaven knows I'm miserable now. Slaps.
okay, actually this is I don't feel like we're backtracking, but I want
No, go ahead.
your opinion as Stanley Kubrick as a director, because I have a lot of opinions about him as a director.
Sure, I'm sure you do. I mean, God, I really want to go back to see more of his work to get a full,
Okay,
well-rounded
yeah.
picture of him. But from The Shining on its own, uh, from just the things that I've read versus what I saw in the movie, God, just one I'm so glad that I would never have to work with,
Yeah.
especially as a woman. Um, I was reading up about poor Shelley and
Poor Shelley.
her interactions with him and how the two of them completely despised each other. They'd have like screaming matches. He basically deleted her character
Yeah.
from the original script. And I mean, from King's story altogether. You know,
yeah.
Wendy was a much built up, like full individual character. And
All
when
of
in The Shining, she's just kind of an empty vessel, like this
Yeah.
shell nothing
all of the characters
meek woman.
from the book had lots of elements
Oh, yeah.
of them stripped away,
All of them.
which is which is do what you want. If you're gonna adapt it, you can make it not in a hotel. Who
Mhm.
cares? But when you take certain aspects or present certain things that don't pay off with certain characters' traits, or trying to say something in a way that doesn't feed the character, then I just don't think that you did a great job with
See,
it.
Yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
Wendy's character worked.
It did, but Wendy.
I-
Well, actually, Wendy's character in the book was actually, I would say, a bit more. There was. I feel like there was more to her and also less to her at the same time.
Mm.
Because Wendy's character was supposed to be like this. How does Stephen King describe it? It's like an ex cheerleader who
Yeah,
was just
who never
oblivious
had any
to everything, who never
problems.
had any problems with her life. And I do like that at least Shelley Duvall's character had a bit more of like she was pretty smart. Like she was in tune with things, but I don't think that it came off as that. She just came off
No.
as her being scared the whole time.
Yeah,
And
that's
Which
always
I
how
don't
it
blame
felt
her.
to me.
yeah.
But okay, I really quick, I just want to quote Mr. King here. He had an interview once with BBC
yeah.
and his take on Shelley.
Yeah.
He said she's basically just there to scream and be stupid, and that's not the woman that I wrote about. And that's how I always felt about her. I mean, like there are little moments that like peek through where I'm like, okay, maybe she's got something working between those ears, or maybe that was a moment of charm. But for the most part, I'm like, she's just there to scream and be stupid.
then
And she's,
yeah.
I feel like she, at least with the way that I watch the film, that she's almost like a part of the audience by someone who's always scared, always confused about what's happening, and concerned for Danny.
Yeah, she's confused. Well, yeah, being concerned for Danny, like that was like, it's like the only woman character, and you make her like, God, if I'm for my child. It's like, yeah, okay, but it's like, I think that when Stephen King says that, oh, like she was dumb, I didn't think that she was that dumb, because when Jack started snapping, she didn't. She wasn't easily fooled by him, like, when he's in the food storage thing and
Yeah.
trying to trick her, saying like, oh, I'm dizzy, I'm doing whatever, and she's just like, nah, fuck you, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Like she
I mean,
wasn't
she
dumb in
did
that
get
aspect.
somewhere. She did.
Yeah, she tried to. I mean, obviously she couldn't, and when she realized that she had no options or way out, that's when like she started being like, just running around with a knife and just being scared the whole time. But it's
Can we
like, I
talk
don't.
about her running for a second?
Oh yeah, sure. What about her running?
I'm doing a motion
Oh,
Every time I watch
of
that
some
movie,
T-Rex arms.
if
in the
only you
air.
guys could see, you got to throw the arms up with the flailing knife in one hand and like slightly running, skipping down the halls.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
think,
can't take her seriously. I just fucking can't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
well,
I want to, but I can't.
I don't know. I had no qualms with her character whatsoever. Because I thought the story was also
Carter's
was
more
like,
forgiving than some of us.
well, no, because I feel like her arc was about like this woman in a clearly loveless marriage, but also
An
trying to
abusive
like,
marriage.
Yeah.
but also trying to like make things work, and then finally being like, "Fuck you, Jack."
Well, no, but I mean that's
With-
well, because That's another thing about the story is that like the book was very much delved into themes of an alcoholic father, of a father dealing with alcoholism. Like that's pretty much what I feel like. Well, not the underlying theme, but the main theme about it,
Mm.
and like Wendy and Danny being a part of that and breaking from it. So the fact that like yeah, his alcoholism was kind of there, but I didn't feel like it was his defining character trait that he was trying to overcome this. And so that's I remember Stephen King talking about that, where it's like he didn't feel like the theme of that was there, and that was like a huge reason where it's like the mother and son are trying to run away from this alcoholic abusive dad.
Yeah.
Um, so it's there. It's just not there in the movie. Like
Yeah,
that's my
it's
only thing.
it's not prevalent.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like how Stanley decided to kind of just make everything a subtlety and kind of left a lot open for interpretation. I mean, and there's so many theories online. There's a whole documentary about it,
Mhm.
Room 237. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
I
it,
haven't seen it either.
but
Mm.
there's so many theories about this movie, and I kind of like that it's a movie that you can interpret.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing super definitive about it, but it's also is like, was that intentional on Stan's part, or is he just not good?
Yeah,
To
that's
add
that's my
on some of
argument.
that, I feel like in my readings that maybe writer Diane Johnson kind of had more reasoning behind some of the questions that we have lingering on there.
Yeah.
And a
Mhm.
lot of people that worked with Kubrick said, well, we have all these questions for you. What does this mean? What does that mean? What does this picture mean? What does this transition in the hallway mean?
Mhm.
And half the time he had answers that were very vague, like, oh, it's a ghost story. Like, it's not supposed to make sense.
Hmm.
And that
Which
was about it.
which I can understand that if you're trying to also make this like hotel feel alive, it's like you want to have these details in it, but having the answer just be like a ghost story, it's like
Yeah, it's like, it's supposed to be weird. Or
yeah,
you're not supposed to get it. It's a ghost story.
yeah. Also,
What does it matter?
yeah.
Which I don't totally
Shut
disagree
up,
with.
Shelley.
I kind of get it.
Also, I don't like this is just me, but I didn't really see this as a ghost story. Like
Me neither.
I did all the
Not
people
until
he
the
was
very,
seeing,
very end.
well, all the people he was
Yeah.
seeing and all the people that I wasn't seeing that as like their ghosts. Mainly because they also introduced this other type of element with the Shining in it, like when Dick starts talking to Danny
Mm-hmm.
and he starts saying like, "Oh, you can do this thing too. You can like talk to whatever or something."
You're psychic.
Yeah,
Danny.
you're essentially you're psychic, and I didn't see as anything like that as them being ghosts. It's just the hotel also has this type of ability or
Energy.
energy, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that can, which I mean, I guess ghosts are that's what ghosts can be.
More of an
Yes.
apparition.
Yeah, I don't.
They're more
Yeah.
poltergeist, but that's for another episode.
Uh,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
um,
Not quite sentient.
Adam Sandler, when
ghosts.
did you
yeah,
get here?
I my thing with
Uh,
so my thing with Stanley Kubrick, and this kind of goes along with the Shelley Duvall's time on the set, and Jack's as well.
mm-hmm.
When they only fed him cheese sandwiches, which is what he hates, so he's always left in this agitated mood.
Oh my god.
Here's my thing: if you have to torture your cast in order to get a performance you want, I don't think you're a good director.
Preach.
Agreed.
Here's the
Preach,
thing.
Alex.
You can be a director and say, "Oh, can you do it like this? Hey, pretend that you did this take 127 times," which I think after reading trivia, that's not true. It was more like 40, according to like the camera
The
people.
editors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the editors. Um, you can just tell them that, and they can do their fucking job and act it out.
That's what we do.
I know,
We're called
and I'm just like,
actors.
and people praise
Trust
him for
us.
that shit. They're like, yeah, he's like fucking breaks him down to get the perfect takes. Like, really? Because I watched the scene. They probably could have done it themselves just
Mhm.
fine. So the fact that he's like, oh no, we have to spend an entire day on one shot. It's like, get over your fucking self.
He's
Stanley
got this.
Kubrick.
He's
Yeah.
got the
We
same.
spent, what was it, like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. doing like the goddamn bar scene with Jack? Like one of
Yeah.
them was like an all day shoot at just the bar.
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
He's got the same. He has the same complex that Michael Cimino had, except the difference is, Michael Cimino, Directed most notably The Deer Hunter, which won all these awards, and then his
Mhm.
next film was one of the biggest box office bombs ever, Heaven's Gate, and from the exact same shit that Stanley does, except Stanley is fortunate enough that the movies came out good. Well, I mean, people didn't like The Shining when it first came out.
Did
Oh,
they really?
it did
Stanley was
horribly.
nominated for a Razzie for Worst Director.
2 Razzies.
Really?
Shelley Duvall got
Shelley
Worst
Duvall also got
Actress, too,
worst. Yeah.
which is cruel. Which
Yeah.
is cruel because
It's
she
pretty
did a
cool.
great. You did fucking
I would have
great,
nominated
Shelley.
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley, don't let the
Sorry,
haters.
Not sorry.
Don't let those haters from the 80s. That's 80s
Yeah.
in rhyme.
That fun fact, that was the first Razzies Awards, by the way, was the one that The Shining took place in 1981. That was the
Really?
very first Razzies to ever occur.
Wow,
I
dang.
didn't
those-
realize the Razzies
Just in
started
case
that-
someone doesn't know what the Razzies are, by the way, Golden Raspberry Awards.
They're for
It's-
like the worst.
It's a
the
parody
worst.
award show
Yeah.
for
And it's
underachievers.
hilarious.
It's
Yeah, I'm
super
sure.
Jack
funny.
and Jill sweeped the year. It
I bet it
no,
did.
it beat Battlefield Earth because it literally won every single award.
Didn't Sandra
Getting eaten
Bullock
alive by
like
mosquitoes.
actually accept her own Razzie?
Oh yeah, dude, a couple people have. Tom Green was
Well, of
the
course,
first
Tom Green.
celebrity to accept his, but Halle Berry accepted hers for
That's right.
Catwoman. And then yeah,
And
because
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock won for All About Steve, and so she like brought a wagon full of scripts, and she challenged the people who voted to read it and try to make it sound natural.
Oh shit! That's
I love
awesome.
Sandy.
That's awesome.
Love you,
go
Sands.
her.
Love you. Shout out to
Um,
Sandy Bullock.
When we
Yeah.
get her on the show, we'll talk about Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous.
How,
Back to Stan.
how did we feel about like just kind of changing the subject a little bit? How do we feel about Jack, like his actual character arc? Because well, this is not kind of on topic, but I did read this like one review on like I think Roger Ebert did it, and he said that there is this thing of like the movie is supposed to make you question or have the unreliable narrative,
Yes.
question whether
Oh, that's right.
one of the characters is an unreliable narrative and you're not sure which one, which I didn't fucking get. I got that everything was actually happening except for like Jack was seeing things or whatever. But like, so again, that's kind of a little bit of a different topic. But as far as Jack's character, like, how did you feel about him? Because I know in comparison to the book, he was supposed to be like start off as like this really good person. He's actually like a good father.
Yeah.
But then it's supposed to have him descend into a madness.
I guess that's my criticism because, and Stephen King also said, because he felt like Jack Nicholson is just crazy to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind
Exactly.
of got that vibe too. It's like, when he's like trying to like be nice and like in the beginning during the interview, but he's just giving me, in the interview, he gives me the same vibes as when he's like trying to corner Shelley with the baseball bat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. Like he started off as seeming like an unstable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like already off the bat.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
this
like
place
he
just
did it-
tips him over the edge. But he was never, sturdy to begin with. He never seemed like the good dad that,
Yeah.
had a rough time once and is working on things and truly loves
Yeah.
his family and all this.
With
like, he never
eyebrows like
felt that
that.
way.
With his eyebrows, you can't.
Which is actually kind of
You
funny
can't.
because some of the other people that they considered
Chevy
being cast-
Chase.
Chevy Chase, wait, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Oh,
Imagine that fucking shit.
that would have been
Harrison Ford?
weird.
Harrison
Harrison
Ford was
Harrison
one.
Ford was one
Harrison
of them.
Ford was
which
one, I think.
I'm
Stephen King wanted John
I
Voight,
can't remember who
which
else.
I think
Yeah.
would have been a pretty good casting decision.
That would have been interesting.
And not to
about to
say
say-
that Jack Nicholson did bad.
no, he
Like,
was
No.
great.
He's
He did
always
great. I just think
I'm a little biased. I
a
just love
different
him.
casting, because like, and really, sorry, I'll get to this topic
No,
later.
no, no.
But the movie's a bit long. They could cut a half hour out.
Yeah.
I think this could just be a 2-hour movie.
The whole making of this movie was all about cutting shit out.
I heard.
This would have
yeah.
been like a 4-hour fucking movie.
Yeah.
But they had to cut so much out.
Um,
And I wonder what it would have been like if all of those scenes didn't hit the cutting room floor.
yeah.
like
One of
script changes
know
were
what would've
happening
happened.
every day.
yeah, and then Jack was just like,
Well,
I'm not
that's
even
how
gonna
he
read the
was
script, I'm
torturing
just-
his
I'm
freaking
just-
actors. Yeah, Jack just
Like I'm just
tossed
gonna
the
read
copies out.
whatever they give me that day.
Yep.
The other person that they were considering was Robin Williams, which I personally would have thought would have been better if they wanted to go the route of
Nice.
starting off as a good dad and then descending to madness because he has
he can
that
do that.
range.
He can do that
Robin
without a
Williams
fucking
has-
doubt.
Yeah, he has that range of
But
like
at this time, Was Robin going into more dramatic work? Because
Not as
I know his first one was before Fisher
I don't know
King,
what he was doing in 1980.
he just got
1980.
out of a show, I think.
Well, and Stanley saw him on
Off of
Mork and
Mork
Mindy
and
and
Mindy?
thought he was too psychotic to.
No, and that was the reason they didn't choose him, because he
He
kept
was too
portraying this kind of
psychotic, so get Jack.
he kept portraying this type of like a cartoon character, and he feels like it would have just immediately off the bat would have
I feel
done
that.
that. But
Yeah.
I think now knowing what his range was later in like the
Mhm.
90s, some roles he took in the 90s, he could have easily done it.
So wait, what year did The Shining come out? Real quick.
1980.
1980. Okay. Oh well, also in 1980 with Shelley Duvall, fucking Popeye came out.
I know.
The Popeye
That would have been
movie.
perfect. That would have been
Speaking
a Popeye reunion.
Dude. Popeye cinematic universe. Someone, if anyone's listening, can you make a deep fake of the entire Shining, but put Robin Williams' face and then do an impression of his voice?
Oh my God.
Redub the movie, deep fake. One of you can do it. One of you 3 people.
You're asking
Can
a
do
lot
it.
out of our audience.
Damn.
Yeah,
Alex,
3
can you do that?
people.
I know you're one of
That's a
them.
lot.
no. So yeah, I mean that's just how I felt about it. Like, he was supposed to have this alcoholic like relapse when he goes to the bar and stuff like that, which I finally just kind
Yeah.
of pieced together, which is why when he went into room 237 and he starts just like making out with this
With this
woman,
random naked chick? Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm like, oh, he's drunk. So the whole point is that it was supposed to. I felt like it was supposed to symbolize that he had an affair at one point, and this is like him
Ah.
relapsing with his inner demons, and so this woman is symbolizing him going back to that, and also just losing it.
I just
also.
saw this as shit-faced possession. I didn't know what to
But
make
it's
of
just
that
like,
scene. I've
yeah.
never understood.
I mean, say again, but like when he saw her as an old woman, then he like kind of snapped into it, or like he just was like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? I didn't necessarily feel that he was completely mad at that point or completely possessed.
Fucking beer goggles, man, you know?
Yeah.
They really get you.
So I don't know. Like he was definitely toying with that, but I got that impression when he started making out. Just no words, no nothing. He started making out with the chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What do we make of the bear giving that dude a blowjob?
The man bear pig?
Fuck, I forgot to look that up. No, there is a thing about it. There is.
Sorry, I've been
The
holding
man
this
bear
in.
pig blowing the tux guy.
There is a thing. and
Love
I
it.
Can't remember. It had. God damn it. I think again. This is one of those other things. It's in the book.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Not in the movie.
I didn't want to make a whole big deal about that part because I didn't know if it was in the book or if I'm
Yeah.
like, is this King or Kubrick? I don't know.
I know it's in the book.
Okay.
I don't know
I need
how
to
much.
read this
I know.
fucking book.
I don't.
So
I
much
feel like
doesn't make
Carter's
sense. It
looking
will
it up.
probably
Looking
make
it
sense
up.
if I just read the book.
Okay, well, when you come to it, please let us know, because I would like to cycle and talk a little bit about Danny.
Ooh,
and
Danny.
Slash Tony as well. Danny. Danny is a character that I feel like was given a disservice in comparison from the book. So this is something that I learned when reading about the facts, that in the book, Tony, the voice that he hears, isn't this like just almost subconscious type of voice, or like, oh, boy that lives in my mouth. Tony is supposed to be Danny's future self talking to him.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah,
why
because isn't it like another strange effect, kind of The Shining?
Of The Shining, yes, 100%. Which is why I'm actually pretty excited for Dr. Sleep, because I really hope that
Yes!
they explain some shit.
Yes, I can't wait for Dr. Sleep.
I had no idea they were making that movie, and so when I saw the trailer in theaters, I was like,
I knew
"What the
it.
fuck is this? What's
Mhm.
happening? Like the music is happening. Like what's happening?"
Did you read Dr. Sleep?
No, I didn't.
I read that one 2 years ago, which is funny because I didn't read The Shining.
Oh god.
But I read the sequel to The
I'm
Shining.
really excited for it. I'm really excited. Ewan McGregor for the win. But
yes,
that was one thing I felt that was done as a disservice for Danny, is because there could have been a little bit more explained about him. Not that there needs to be.
Mhm.
You don't need to explain everything, but there is an element that you set up that isn't paid off.
Yeah.
Which actually two things that happen with Danny that are set up and not paid off, which I know room 237 is like, you go in it, you see what's in it.
Yeah.
But it's set up with Dick and Danny as to be something that's more, and it wasn't.
No.
It was it's just like it could have been a room that he just ran into as he was riding his fucking tricycle around. But it was set up, and it was like, "What's in room 237?" He's like, "Don't go in there."
Yeah, just
It's like,
don't
okay,
go to
cool.
room
So there's a
237.
dead
Like,
woman.
come on, Dick.
Got
Give
it.
us something more than that.
This
Yeah.
is like on Back
Are we
to the
back
Bear.
on
This
the
is like
bear
a
thing?
huge thing. So I'm not gonna read all this.
Just look it up.
No, I
He
no,
just
I
did.
am.
No. I'm telling the audience. To
Oh,
look it
just
up.
look it up.
Look up the man bear
I
pig.
think because there are also like because there's theories about how the whole movie is about like Jack repressing his homosexuality.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
then there's like
God.
implications that he may have like raped Danny.
Okay.
I remember being told this a while ago, like the last time I watched it, and I kind of thought because when Jack is in the hotel visiting, he's reading a magazine and he's reading a Playgirl magazine. So, and then I think it was like in the bathroom scene, like he's making out with the woman, and then she turns hideous, and they interpreted that.
I can get that with the scene when Danny goes to go grab his truck. And
Yeah.
the way he is responding to his dad, everything is yes, daddy, no, dad,
Yeah.
no, whatever. I mean, that is
I made
just a
notes
sign
about
of
that scene
abuse.
for some reason.
That is just a sign of abuse. But I can see how maybe that happened.
Yeah.
Just they're talking to each other felt. I could have read it.
I could be wrong, and once I read this like 8,000 page document on my iPhone, maybe my opinion will differ. But I think if that's true, if like this is the theory that we're thinking of, I just think it ruins.
Yeah,
I'm not down with that theory, but I can't tell people they're wrong.
It's just
either.
unnecessary.
I
I think the theory of him fighting his homosexuality is interesting, but then like I said, and I don't know if the raping Danny thing is true. That's just what I heard from an unreliable source.
But
I definitely never got that. I mean,
Right.
with the scene with him and Danny and Jack in the bed, I mean, I just took that as
like that's
I didn't get into the sexual abuse. My mind just didn't go there.
But there was abuse there.
But
still.
no, but
Yeah,
we know that.
100%.
Yeah, we know he's
Not
been an abusive
sexual,
father.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have to take it down the sexual road.
Yeah. My other part with Danny, and please, if you know this, because apparently no one else does on the fucking internet.
Huh?
What is the point of the red rum scene?
I don't know.
I'm dead. It's played as. Just
I don't know what the point is, but the way I've watched it since I was a kid, that was his warning
warning for what?
that Dad's coming
Jack's coming.
Okay.
and he's gonna kill us all.
Okay. It's just one of those. It was a whole Tony bit. There was a whole Tony bit of like Tony took over Danny. Tony is now Danny.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole red rum bit where he's warning about it. And then once he writes red rum, Tony disappears. Tony isn't even back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit one of those things that I don't know. Maybe that's what it led up to, but I didn't read it as because it kind of felt like it was supposed to mean something else. Like it was supposed to mean something more like about the hotel. But I guess it can.
I don't know if I just don't think that deeply into things. I'm more of like a basic surface thinker, possibly. But I mean, Tony is just, in my eyes, his little shining self, because that's the only way he knows how to deal with that ability of his.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tony's coming out because he knows exactly what's about to go down. So he gets all weird and murdery and then goes and disturbs Mom from her deep sleep because Daddy is on his way. And so he's all like, red rum, red rum, red rum.
That's really good.
Thank you.
That sounded just like Daniel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
it's my favorite impression, actually.
I guess just because the entire it's probably just as like that face value. I think it might just be my thing with Stanley Kubrick, where I'm just like,
yeah,
no, I think like I feel like in his mind he's trying to make this seem like something else, but I don't know. Maybe he.
But that's all it was to me.
Yeah, maybe he did. I guess it just felt like such a more impactful moment than just being like, Dad's coming with an axe. Like, yeah, we know. Like he tried to kill you.
Know.
No, but it happened after he snapped at Wendy.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, I thought we knew that he's gonna kill you. I don't know.
Yeah.
We probably looking a little bit too far into it.
Who knows?
Yeah, but we
Maybe we're not
thought
far
that
enough.
he was, locked away, and the family had no idea, and Wendy just needed to know, and they made it really dramatic.
Yeah.
But I love that moment.
How do we feel about the end? about like.
I've always loved the ending.
Yeah, I
Very
honestly I did too.
iconic. I think everyone just about who hasn't seen the movie knows something about how it ends.
Yeah.
I again, having not read the book, but I know of the book's ending for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I agree with Kubrick about having to change that because he thought that the ending with the boiler giving out and the whole hotel exploding
Uh-huh.
with Jack inside was a little cliche.
Yeah.
Well,
That happened in the book.
well, yeah,
Wait. Was that? What do you mean?
The
yes, that's
hotel exploded.
like that's
In,
the
Correct?
in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess. Yes.
man, because this is in the miniseries, which I think is a very faithful adaptation because King wrote it. So basically, the boiler plays a much bigger part
Mhm.
because they need to keep up with that maintenance, or else it will overheat and explode.
And that's not really touched in the movie too much.
Oh, yeah, you only see that once.
And so
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
climax, Jack is trying to fight like himself so he can let Danny go. And in the miniseries the weapon is like a mallet, like a croquet mallet.
Mhm.
Instead of an axe.
Yeah, and in the book he is hitting his face and parts of his flesh are coming off. So he's becoming more of the monster. And as he's doing it, he's telling Danny to run. And then in the miniseries, he runs to the boiler room basically to sacrifice himself to save his family.
And Dick. Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I thought Dick died.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
No, I thought the three of them lived, and then Kubrick didn't like that, and he's like, no, an innocent has to die, and that's why he killed Dick.
That is.
I don't remember, to be honest.
Poor
That
Shining
is.
Dick.
That is interesting.
But by the way, can I don't know, but the whole explosion Kubrick thinking was cliche, and I'm like, but it's not cliche to kill the innocent African American men. Cool,
Yeah.
got it.
Or
Yeah.
to think that Native Americans are
That
mystical.
wasn't cliche.
Yeah. Or to think that Native Americans are mystical. I'm sorry. Stephen King puts that in a lot of his books, and it's a very big problem.
He does. He really loves it. He loves the mysticism
What is,
of Native Americans.
Native American. Yeah, that explains it. Sorry.
Would you? Well, see, this one's not in Maine, so putting on Native American burial ground.
But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I love the ending. I think it's great.
I honestly did too. Like,
I'm very
I felt
sad
like,
that Dick dies. Love Dick, but
I felt like it
oh well.
fit the theme of what it was going for. That's like it's weird because it's like Jack lost, but he also won because like he became part of the hotel, which is like as his descent into madness is what he wanted.
I want to touch on that too
Yeah.
in a second.
Yeah, because I don't fucking get it.
You don't get the ending?
But
No.
Oh, okay.
well, okay, hold on. But something about the ending that I enjoyed was because I know in the book that Danny is represented more as just this incredibly intelligent and gifted
Yeah.
young kid,
Yeah.
which he's just
a
your
kid.
very average small child
only
in the
time you
movie
ever
with
see
a
him-
weird paranormal
Yeah.
ability.
The only time you ever see him be smart is when he's trying to trick his dad in the maze.
Yeah, and that's the
And I
thing.
was
I'm
like,
like, that one
awesome.
time that his
Yeah.
intelligence is really represented
Right
is him making it through the maze and fucking his dad over.
Yeah.
Which I love it every time.
Yeah, that was
my
really cool.
my little 4-year-old nephew was watching it with me this morning, that particular scene, and he's like, "Oh, smart boy hiding." I'm like, that's right, the smart boy is hiding.
Dude, yeah.
Take
'cause,
notes.
when Jack gets to those tracks that just stop, he's like, "Fuck, that was my only plan." Now I gotta look through this maze
Yeah.
by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was like I liked it. I liked the a lot of people were confused by it, but about him ending up in that picture.
Yes, let's talk about the
Yes!
picture.
Yeah,
I
thought
would
Let's
that's
go.
what we were
love
talking
right
about.
now.
Yeah,
Let's-
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about
Okay.
the picture.
I would
What's your
love
thoughts?
to.
Great. Okay, I have a question because there were like two things when I first the years of watching the movie. I had
Mhm.
two theories, but I think I might be leaning more towards one now.
Yes.
After doing my research, but so I thought it was either one, seeing Jack in the photo in the gold room in 1921. Is it symbolizing that he's now another energy added to the hotel?
Mhm.
Or is this a case of reincarnation?
I don't think there was any aspect of reincarnation. I didn't get
I like
that
the first
in,
one.
in that because the movie sets up that like especially with what was the previous caretaker's name? It's like
Grady, Charles Grady.
Grady.
Oh,
Saying
well,
Eddie.
we're introduced to that character as Charles Grady, and then when he meets him in the bathroom, he's a different name. He's at Delbert Grady? I think I made a note of this somewhere.
Was it really?
Hold on. Delbert Grady.
Delbert.
So when the manager or whatever of the hotel first tells about the caretaker, it's Charles Grady. And when he meets his ghost in the bathroom scene, he introduces himself as Delbert Grady.
Did
Why?
Questions?
Wait. Really?
Yes, really.
Did Jack say you're Delbert Grady? Like he talked to him as Delbert Grady?
Correct. And he's like, "Oh, you were the caretaker. You killed your family and then you shot yourself."
And he's like, no.
He's like, "No.
Sorry to differ from you, sir, but
You're the caretaker. You've always been the
Unless
caretaker." This scene with him in the bathroom is something why it leads me into the reincarnation bit, because there's so many lines throughout the whole film that clue in to him having always been a part of this place.
oh, I see what you're saying.
There,
That it's always him,
Ugh.
which is why like he's the only one that feels drawn to the hotel.
Yeah, I mean, Jack even said it himself.
I loved it
He
for
tells
him.
Wendy that when he went into the interview, that it felt like he had been there before, like he
Oh.
knew what was going to be around every corner.
Oh.
And then Grady goes and says, "Yeah, sir, you've always been the caretaker here."
Okay.
Which I'm like,
I-
what?
I know.
What?
Okay.
What do you mean?
I actually really buy that.
that's a really good
However,
point. Oh,
Yeah.
however.
Why did his name need to be different?
I don't know.
That sounds like a
I don't know.
slip-up. And I know I'm hearing the film snobs already. But it's not a fucking slip up. You know, you know when you go over here and you look at this scene, it means that they just no. Sorry,
Whoa,
it comes off
whoa.
as a slip up. I don't care what your opinions are about Stanley Kubrick.
Well, this
That's
is
what it
why I
comes
want to
off
read the
as.
book, because I
feel
don't
like
know
it
if that
means
also
something.
occurs there or if that's just a movie difference. And also, I know some people have said, well, maybe one of them is a nickname, or maybe he's Charles Delbert Grady or Delbert Charles Grady.
Then you
I don't know, though. I don't know.
Assume that.
Yeah, I mean, they're all assumptions. Again,
I know.
did you read that in the book?
I'm
I
not
don't know.
like getting mad at you or anybody. I'm just saying that like I know that like
But
Stanley Kubrick tried to fucking make things different with his films, but it's just like you still have to treat the audience like they're dumb
wait, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
to
no, I
counter
agree.
that point, because when Jack says, yeah, you did this, the guy's like, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not him.
Okay, but the thought still appeared where he was saying like I know your name. You're Delbert Grady. It's like okay, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the name that you were given.
No.
You were given Charles Grady, right? Charles.
Mhm, I
Okay,
think
I'm just
so.
making sure I heard it right. So it's like
So
there's
Jack's the
still
first one who says, you're Delbert Grady.
yes.
No, he introduces himself
Oh,
first,
yeah,
and then he
yeah.
goes, "Oh, yeah."
I've heard about you. You killed your family.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. You heard Charles Grady. The guy told you it was Charles Grady. It's just like, where are you getting this? Like, I know that fucking name.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's why I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
like.
super confusing.
That's why, I don't know. I feel that that's kind of. I don't know if it's, it was overlooked or anything like that or whatever, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You could have still had that same scene if they called him Charles Grady, and he could
Yeah.
have been like, "No, I didn't. You've always been the caretaker here." The same outcome could have still happened.
And then it questions, like, because of that interaction, it's like, okay, well, was that case never even real? But it would have to be real because the manager's the one that brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Danny had visions of it from the beginning before going to the hotel
Yeah.
about, like, the Grady sisters.
Yeah, the girls.
Yeah. So it's like, but yeah, that's also confusing. And then back to my reincarnation point, before paying attention to when the Grady timeline happened, I
Mhm.
thought growing up that maybe he was Grady in his last life, but then it only happened 10 years prior. So I'm like, oh, well, screw that theory. Never mind. That happened in
Yeah.
like 1970.
Well,
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. I mean, but it is a little bit of that. Maybe it's what is possessing him is the person that he's talking about, or is
Totally.
like
Yeah.
he himself as Jack. He is still Jack, but the entity or whatever that he is becoming is the caretaker that's always been there.
Could be.
perhaps. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it does work in that same element where he's like, yes, he has always been part of the hotel. He is a part of it, and that's why he is the one that's greatly affected by it, and not anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I think
And
that
which
Checks out.
also makes sense why Danny and Wendy are the only people to ever escape, because Danny was in tune with this thing. Danny
Yeah.
was in tune with the hotel and was able to read it for what it was.
Because the hotel also spoke Shining.
Yeah, because that's a language. But yeah, well, that was a conversation.
Uh,
Is there anything else that anybody wants to comment on?
Dude, I wrote
It's a
like
good movie.
7 pages of notes.
I
I
know.
definitely
I still
had
like
more
it.
things, but this will be like a 5-hour podcast,
No,
so we're just not gonna do that.
There's points that you feel like you
There's
can talk on.
plenty that I can just kind
I
of
just kind
pass
of want to
over.
like just watch
I'm
it.
gonna look over
I just want to watch it again. But when they get to the hotel, I don't want to. I don't need all that beginning shit.
Yeah,
I don't need all that setup.
yeah, it's all good.
Cause like once they get to the hotel, that's when I'm like, cause like the whole setup, they're like, they're strapping you in, but then when they get to the hotel, you start going up, and then that last hour, start going down
I just have a lot of weird
in a fun
technical
way.
notes. What
In the
hell?
fun way.
Is there anything you want to share? Any technical notes you want to share, Aubrey?
I mean, nah, most of them are just like kind of random opinions that don't fucking matter.
All of your opinions matter. You chose.
Oh, but
this movie.
one little techie like fun fact I wanted to throw in was that this was one of the first like half dozen films to use Steadicam
Steadicam.
Oh
technology.
yeah,
Yes.
it was on, like on a
I thought that
wheelchair
was
or
super
something
cool,
like that.
and they definitely used it hardcore, which
which worked,
which
like,
worked very well. I thought.
understandable why they did it.
Well, because I think like the inventor of the Steadicam didn't think this movie was gonna go past 6 months of production because he had Rocky 2 to do.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And so, but production went over, so he had to fly from England to Philadelphia
Like, every
every
weekend.
Sunday
Damn.
to shoot Rocky 2, then go back.
Yeah, Garrett
and
was really
shoot The
Garrett Brown,
Shining.
excuse me, was really involved with the production of The
Who?
Shining.
Who was?
The inventor, Garrett Brown.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, I enjoyed the camera work. I thought it worked really well. It was used very.
It was
It
beautiful.
was used very appropriately, not just used to fucking use it.
Yeah.
I just loved how I think you mentioned this like when we kind of started talking about it, but all of the shots where like you feel like either you're being followed or you're following
Yeah.
somebody
Mhm.
or the hotel is following something. Like all these following shots. Like there's
Mhm.
so many shots from, behind the character as we take them through
Through
like
the hotel.
3 rooms of the
Yeah.
hotel, and
All the
I loved all of those shots. Every one of them worked for me. And I know some people would think it was overkill, but I loved every single shot.
Yeah, no, I did too.
Danny on his big wheel, and when he turns
Iconic.
to the twins right there, gets me
Yeah.
every time.
Every
Yeah.
time.
It does.
Every time. And then
Like,
just
it's happening too. You know it's
like,
gonna
it's this
happen,
corner.
and
It's right here. This
still-
turn. Ah!
still
the
happening.
first time when he rides it and nothing happens, just like the sound when he's on the hardwood floor, then he goes on the carpet, then back to the hardwood floor, then on the
Ah.
carpet.
I mean, if
back
I was
to-
Danny, I
Oh,
would.
it's so
Yeah,
sad.
that's the closest to ASMR that I experience. I'm just like
the wood floor and carpet.
I
wood floor,
agree with you on
yeah,
that.
and like just that, and then it fades, and it's like, fuck, what time is it?
No, yeah, it was great. I mean, if you're Danny, I would ride on a tricycle throughout the hotel.
Dude, yeah, that
I would,
shit's
I would
awesome.
do that I would do that as an adult.
But motherfucker doesn't clean up. Another shot when Jack's looking out the window, there's toys everywhere. It's like, I don't want to kill my kid too if he's leaving a mess.
All right.
Oh,
was a-
last
thing,
note.
okay.
Last note. Good job for The Shining. Last year in 2018, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry.
That's okay.
All right.
I'm joking.
All right, way to end the show, Aubrey. So where can we, Aubrey? Where
So
can
it's great. It's good shit.
Where can we find you? What do you have anything to plug? What's your social?
Any
Security number.
Thank you. First off, thank you so much
Oh yeah, that
for
too.
bringing this movie. It's definitely something I need to watch.
I'm so glad because I mean half of the reason why I wanted to do it so badly is because Alex said he had never seen it, and it had to be done. I was
Yeah.
fighting. I was like Shining or maybe this,
Had
or
to
maybe
do it
that,
for
and he
them.
said those words. I've never seen
I-
The Shining. I was like done.
have
This
all-
is what we're doing.
I have all these opinions about Kubrick, but I ain't no quitter. I'll watch all of his movies. I don't care. I watch movies that I don't agree with or like.
Yeah. Anyway, for plugs, I don't got much.
Yeah.
Keep,
Oh,
keep,
yeah.
keep connected to In Pursuit of Nothing. So we got that going on for us. Check out our Instagram and YouTube. And if you feel like it, no big deal. I also have a personal Instagram. You can find me at Aubrie Brielle. I'm going to spell that out for you. AUBRIEBRIELLE. Boom.
There we go.
Minus the boom. Don't put that in. It's not there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or your phone will explode.
I'm going to finish my plugs. We also should rate it afterwards because I forgot we do that.
Oh, I didn't know we did that. Great.
I forgot.
Yeah, and we just got really into this. Follow In Pursuit of Nothing on all the social medias. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Alex Pacillas. That's AlexPaciLlas. Yeah, sure. Follow me. I don't care.
Hey,
he kind of cares. We all kind of care.
Same shit they said. My Instagram's Carter WBT. If you can't spell that, I'm sorry.
You don't get to follow?
But it's also a private account, so if I don't want you to follow me, you will not be allowed.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Next.
Okay. Well, yeah. Before we end this, let's rate this movie. What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? Aubrie.
Ooh, 10's a big number, so we're gonna IMDb rating this.
I would say like grade school, like you A, B, like it's like 90% to 100, and then 80 to whatever.
No.
I mean, you don't have to say the letters. I'm just.
No, I kind of like the letter system. I'm gonna stick with it.
Okay.
Because you don't really know if I'm giving it like an 80 or an 84 based on my B. So, but yeah, I'll have to give it a solid B+ rating.
Same here.
Are we doing letter grades now?
That's what I'm doing.
She
Today.
established the system. She's the
Okay.
guest.
I'm the guest.
Yeah.
I'm setting my rating. It is a B+ film.
I do kind of like that actually. The previous one we just done out of 10.
You're listening to history here, folks.
Yeah, we're changing our
I'm
rating
changing the
system.
5
format
episodes
live.
in, we change the system.
Cool. Do like a B-.
It's gonna change next week, so get
Okay.
ready for more history in the making.
I respect the
I'll
B-.
do, I'll do like a B-. It's teetering on C+, B-.
Oh shit. Okay.
All right, C's get degrees, though.
Yeah, no, they do. And I said that.
That's how I made it through college, people.
It's a good, well-crafted movie that I have qualms with. So.
Word.
All right, well that's a sode. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate all the listeners out there. We appreciate you watching our stuff and just following and supporting. We'll see you at the next. Well, no, we won't see you. You get it. This has been IPN's movie night. Don't forget to fuck off.
Wait, no, you said that last week.
No, I said fuck off last week. Today, I reminded them. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you next time.